Hey TSG, it's Ben. Today we're working at Zwerch follow-up techniques again. We're working on hard responses. So in my experience, when you do the Zwerchhau, oftentimes you're ending up in a closer position where my bind is on their middle to strong, and as a result you often have a hard bind. And so today we're going to get into a couple of the follow-up responses that are from that hard bind. The first one is our Zwerch followed by another one around the other side. So again, starting with our Zwerchhau, step, Zwerch, step. If that's weird to you, look at previous videos. So it's Zwerch, step, step. It's putting that pressure on, closing the distance, bringing my Zwerchhau in a little bit. Right. As I do that, I'm assuming that hard bind happens. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clear that bind by pushing his hands out of the way. The text talks about using your cross to strike their blade out of the way. Part of that action, I like to actually roll my arms through his. A very common thing you often see, you see it in Fiora, you see it in Liechtenauer, is an elbow push, right? It's almost like I'm doing that same action, except that I'm not using my hand to actually push the elbow. So what I'm doing is I've finished my end position here, I'm pushing my cross to get their blade out of the way, and I'm rolling up my forearm. And as I do that, I'm pushing their forearm and their arm out of the way with this. This is really good when you get two people in that strong bind that happens sometimes when two people, regardless of whether it's a Zwerchhau or not, two people come together, maybe the person cuts and the defender steps forward to counter that, and you end up strong on strong. Not the best way to defend, but it happens a lot. And you end up strong on strong, and you're in that bind where you're here, and you're both don't want to kind of let up because the other person is going to power down on you. This works really well. And I think this is what you see sometimes happen in the Zwerchhau, so we're seeing this described here. So I've done this, I'm in this position, pushing that cross up and out of the way, rolling my forearm on his, and even up to the elbow if you can get it, to push the elbow out to the side. And then I'm cutting around with him second cut. Now, again, in an ideal circumstance, what I'm doing is I'm using my Fechtens to find my distance, stepping closer to get into the position where I can hit him without having to use my body, doing my Zwerch, right? And now I'm close enough to hit him already, close enough to hit my opponent. So I don't need to do is do this, my step. We talked about this a couple videos ago. I'm going to step there, and then from here I'm pushing him out of the side as I swing around, hips only, to cut, and then letting my foot follow after that cut. So I stay in as a true cut. Boom, there. So I'm using the Zwerchhau to set up the distance, to close that distance. The true intent, the thing I'm trying to do is this second cut. Now, as you're turning, as I'm pushing up the arm, it's pushing him this way. It's exposing his back just like an elbow push does. And so this cut ends up landing here. Back of the head, ear, back of the neck, right? So it ends up being here, there. You see this, I think in Peter Faulkner has an image of the second Zwerch, and you see the guy almost standing chest facing the same direction, and his sword's coming around, hitting the guy back there, and I think that makes a lot of sense. When you're really pushing that arm offline, their body turns and it exposes that back of the head target with it. So we're doing boom, boom, boom. And then to finish up, we're going to do one last thing just to kind of throw another cut in. So it's there, it's there. I'm going to do a short edge cut just to kind of land down and finish it. Why not? Step, there, step, back of the head, step, cut. Ends up being spare, short edge. One more. Spare, short edge. Faster. Spare. Alright, again, this is the point where everybody goes, but I can't do that in the tournament or with my friend because I'm going to hit him in the back of the head. Yeah, I know internet, it's fine. Yeah, it sucks, right? So this technique, I honestly, I think, when you're doing it the way they want you to do it, it's pretty lethal. It's pretty dangerous. So, in practice, how do you do this safely? In a tournament, how do you get points for it? Well, just cut lower, right? So if I'm doing the exact same thing here, and I'm pushing him off, all I have to do is drop that cut a little bit. So instead of my cut coming around here to the back of the head, it comes down here to the body or arm or wherever else it's safe. Right? That way you don't get close. In a lot of tournament environments, even if you come close to cutting the back of the head, a judge might rule against you. So cut it low. Or do what everybody else does and just do a thing, so that's fair. I don't recommend that though. So yeah, so cutting it low makes it work. So if you go boom and low with it, you can avoid that back of the head target. Cool. All right, thanks guys.